There is one private company on this planet that could, when it goes public, create more millionaires overnight than any IPO in the US history, okay? And most retail investors are completely unprepared for it. I'm going to show you exactly what SpaceX is worth, when it might go public, and most importantly, the moves you can make right now before the general public even gets access to a single share. Stay with me because the window for this positioning is smaller than what most people realize. Once again, I'm Sam, I'm a Big Four tax advisor, and I've spent years helping high net worth individuals. And when I tell you this is the most consequential IPO watch of the next decade. I mean that with like full professional conviction. And if you want deeper breakdown every week, follow our newsletter at go to our webpage, empowercapital.co, and this link is in the description. So follow that, okay? So real quick, if you've never subscribed for this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be subscribed, all right? And help us spread the word and help the channel to grow. Because what we talk about here, strategic investing, tax efficient wealth building, and the moves that Wall Street makes before Main Street even hears about them, right? This is the content that actually moves the needle. So hit the subscribe button once again and stay locked in. Now, here's what most people get wrong about SpaceX. Most people hear SpaceX and they think rockets. They think Elon Musk. They think Mars. And yes, all that is real. But that framing is costing retail investors a massive opportunity because it makes SpaceX feel like a science experiment instead of what it actually is, a vertically integrated infrastructure empire. Think about this. SpaceX has three distinct revenue engines running simultaneously right now. So the first one is launch services. They have a near monopoly on commercial and government payloads, all right? NASA and DARPA, D-A-R-P-A, private satellite companies. All of them are all lined up to ride the SpaceX rockets because nobody else can compete on price or reliability at this level. So second one is Starlink. This is one that changes everything. Over 6,700 satellites already in orbit, millions of subscribers globally, revenue estimated at $6 billion annually and growing. They're bringing broadband internet to places that have never had reliable connectivity, all the way from places in Africa, places in America, South America, maritime shipping routes, military operations. And third, defense, right? SpaceX has a growing national security footprint that most retail investors aren't even tracking. Classified government contracts, surveillance, satellite programs. This isn't just commercial, it's strategic infrastructure that the US government cannot afford to lose. Now, here's a number that should stop you stone cold. As most recent private market data from platforms like Forge Global, SpaceX is valued somewhere between 800 billion to 1.5 trillion. Okay, let me put that in context. Apple, the most valuable public company on earth, is around $3 billion. SpaceX is already being priced at roughly half of that. Unbelievable. Privately, okay, before a single retail investor can touch it on public exchanges. So think about that, right? Now, when it does go public, right? When? This is where it gets complicated. And I want to be honest with you here. Elon Musk has stated multiple times he has no plans to take SpaceX public in the near term. He specifically doesn't want the short-term pressure of markets interfering with the long duration missions like Mars. But here's what the smart money knows. Starlink, the satellite internet division, is a different story entirely. Starlink has been discussed as a potential standalone IPO candidate. And if Starlink goes public independently at even a fraction of what its implied value, that's an event level wealth creation moment. So the real question isn't when does SpaceX go public, it's how do you position yourself now while you still can. I'm going to give you 3 specific moves, but first, pause here, okay? Think about this question. I want you to actually sit with it. If SpaceX was available on Robinhood tomorrow at $1,500 a share, what would you do? Because that design should shape what I tell you next, okay? Are you still here? Okay, good. Because this is the part most finance channels skip, and is the part that actually separates investors who build wealth from investors who just watch wealth get built by other people. So let's talk about the 3 public market plays that give you real exposure to the SpaceX ecosystem right now before any IPO event. Play number 1, Tesla, the ticker TSLA. This one surprises people, but here's the logic. Elon Musk owns a significant stake in SpaceX, all right? And a portion of his compensation from Tesla is structured in ways that create overlapping incentives between the 2 companies. Some analysts argue Tesla is essentially a de facto tracker for Musk's broader venture portfolio, which includes SpaceX as an enormous implied value. Tesla is volatile, yes, high risk, a stock. But if SpaceX's valuation trajectory continues, the sentiment and wealth effect on Tesla is real. So play number 2, Lockheed Martin, LMT. Okay, LMT, some of the people in Congress have this as well, right? This is the institutional play. Lockheed is one of the largest defense and aerospace contractors in the world, and as the space economy scales, Lockheed benefits whether SpaceX dominates or not. Why? Because the government's appetite for space-based defense infrastructure creates a rising tide effect across the entire sector. LMT has dividends, government contract stability, and lower volatility profile. Okay, so for investors who want space exposure without the Musk factor, this is the cleaner vehicle. And play number 3, Boeing, the ticker BA. Boeing, you guys know, creates a lot of planes, right? It's a contrarian play. They've had well-documented operational struggles, but they remain a core part of the U.S. aerospace supply chain, and any SpaceX-driven explosions in the space economy lifts demand across the board for aerospace manufacturing, parts, and engineering. If Boeing executes its turnaround, and it's a real, and it's that, right? And that's a real if, right? Beneficiaries of a space economy, boom, okay? This is a higher risk, higher reward position relative to Lockheed. Now, before I close, right? Okay, what I said earlier before, here's the thing that nobody's really talking about. Okay? In these SpaceX videos, okay, even if you position perfectly, even if you buy Tesla, Lockheed, and Boeing at exactly the right moment and they all run, if you don't have a tax efficient structure around these gains, you're given a significant cut back to the IRS before it even hits your net worth. And that's where real wealth is either kept or lost. So here's what looks, right? Here's what that looks like practically, right? Long-term capital gains on stocks held over a year are taxed at 0, 15, and 20%. Or 20%, depending on your income level. Dramatically lower your short-term rates. Dramatically, all right, lower your short-term rates. If you're positioning in any of these names with a 12 to 14 month horizon in mind, that's a material difference in your after-tax return. Qualified opportunity zone funds, tax loss harvesting, and proper account type selection, brokerages versus IRA versus Roth, all compound on top of that as well. I work with clients on exactly this kind of structuring through Empower Capital Tax Advisors. The link is in the description if you want to explore that. But more importantly, every week, okay, I send free newsletters, okay? Make sure to like, share, subscribe. I break down the tax angle on major wealth events like this IPO. Capital gain triggers, crypto tax implication, all of it. Go to empowercapital.co and subscribe for free. It's the most underrated thing I do, and the people who read it will tell you that. Before I give you the 3 takeaways, if you've made it this far, you already know more about SpaceX investment landscape than 95% of retail investors. And this channel is where that kind of information lives. Subscribe if you haven't. Share this with someone in your life who needs to hear it. And honestly, if you're sitting on significant capital right now, investment, crypto gains, business income, reach out to my team at Empower Capital. Strategy conversation doesn't cost you anything. Wrong decision does. So link in the bio. All right. 3 takeaways once again before I let you go finally. Okay. Remember, number 1, SpaceX is not just rockets. It's a multi-revenue stream infrastructure company with one of the most defensible competitive moats in the private market. 800 billion to 1.5 trillion valuation range is not hype at all. It's backed by Starlink revenue, launch, dominance, and defensive contracts. Number 2, the IPO may not be imminent, but Starlink as a standalone public company is a live conversation. And when it happens, the window for pre-positioning closes, okay? It's gonna be too late. The time to think about this is now, not then. And number 3, the proxy plays are real. Tesla for Musk exposure. The Tesla, once again, proxy plays are real. Tesla for Musk exposure. Lockheed for institutional space economy position. Boeing for contrarian upside if the turnaround materializes. None of these are guarantees. Do your own research and diligence, but they are the most accessible vehicles for retail investors who want inside the space economy today. Now, here's my question for you. Which of these 3 stocks are you watching most closely, and why? Drop it in the comments. I'll read the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. And I'm going to show you other entities that you can get into before it does its IPO. So there's other entities I want you to that I'll be talking about as well, and you want to position yourself before the ship goes. Take care. We love you. God loves you. Stay blessed. And you can, you will, you must. You can do it.